Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, Ashmira.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Bachche. Yes, beta. So, what were we doing? Have we just completed the chapter explanation?
Ma'am,
Can I check it once? I do not have the book with me, so you please see to it and let me know.
ma'am, we have done impact on herders and
I think we have
we
completed
have
explanation. So, we have to start with the exercises now. Hardik, Ashmira, what do you think?
ma'am,
We have done, I
now
think,
to
till
complete
impact
the
on herding.
forest movement.
We have done till impact on herders.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Ashmira, could you please send me the picture of the rest? Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Ashmira sending.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll continue. So whatever we have read till now, is there any doubt in that? Anyone?
No,
Is that all clear?
yes, ma'am.
Cool. So let Ashmira send me the rest. So you start reading. Double H.
Ma'am, from forest movement, Bastar.
Yeah, from Forest Movement Buster.
Bastar is located in the southernmost part of Chhattisgarh and borders of Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, and Maharashtra. The central part of Bastar is on a plateau. To the north of this plateau is the Chhattisgarh plain, and to its south is the Godavari plain. The river Indravati winds across Bastar east to west. A number of different communities live in Bastar, such as Maria, Muria, Gonds, Turwas, Bhatras, and Halbas. They speak different languages but share common customs and beliefs. The tribal people had formulated strict rules and regulations about how to manage and use the forests. They were using forests in such a way that they were being replenished naturally. The guiding principle appears to have been what we call now sustainability. It was not mere coincidence that the British found vast areas of forest in prime condition. The people of Bastar believed that each village was given its land by the earth, and in return, it was their duty to look after it. In addition to the earth, they showed respect to the spirits of the river, the forest, and the mountain. Such each village knew where its boundary were. The local people looked after all the natural resources within that boundary. If people from a village wanted to take some wood from the forest of another village, they paid a small fee called devsari, dund or man in exchange. Some villages were also protected. Some villages also protected their forests by engaging watchmen, and each household contributed some grain to pay them. Every year there was one big hunt where the headmen of villages in Paragana cluster of villages met and discussed issues of concern, including forests. Ma'am, shall I read further?
नेक्स्ट would be
Okay, ma'am.
read by उससे अभी बताएगा कि what was Bastar, right? कहाँ पे Bastar located है, right? And how there was a tribe which was fed up of all the atrocities which the Britishers were bringing on them, right? So यहाँ पे कौन कौन सी tribe होती थी? Mons, Marias, Gundas, Rugal, etc. And they have formulated the rules and regulations about how to manage and use the forest. उनके अपने rules थे कि forest को कैसे manage करना है, कैसे rule करना है, what should be done, how. But after the arrival of Britishers, tables have turned. अभी तक they were controlling the lands, the tribes. But now after the entry of Britishers, who started controlling the lands?
Ma'am, the Britishers.
The Britishers. Exactly. So the people of Basra believe that each village was given its land due to the earth and revolves one what always the quick expectation. Head children. Okay. So the people of Basra believe that each village was given its land by the earth, and in return it was their duty to protect it. Okay. Ashmira, read next.
The basic colony approach was to declare forest as the state property to curtail the forest people's right. In 1905, the colony government proposed to reserve two-thirds forest. People were not allowed to access the reserved forest, so the Britishers of Bastar were worried. There were already many restrictions on the people. The coming of Britisher had already affected the forest in many ways. First, it had already strengthened penetration
Penetration.
penetration into tribal area by outsiders like moneylender, trader, land grabber, labor contractor, etc. Second, the arrival of Britisher had converted the inhabited people to labor. Third, the local people were forced to pay tax. Fourth, people were being displaced from their land and from the forest.
So these were the impact of the arrival of Britishers and Britishers entered the forest. That's the impact they had, right? So a lot of outsiders started entering the forest areas. It was not only tribes living there now, a lot of no zamindars, a lot of traders, grabblers, they all started coming towards the forest. Second, it also converted the inhabited people to laborers, right? जो tribes पहले मतलब अपना पूरा लाइफ स्टाइल उनका पूरा विलेज पे डिपेंडेंट था उनके पूरे पूरे लाइफ को चेंज करके राइट उन्हें लेबरर्स बना दिया and people were being displaced from the land and from the free forest, right? So I think the chapter is over now.
No, ma'am.
और ठीक है
Then
so हम read next.
and from forest movement to Boston.
नहीं. Page number 43 on the right hand side.
Fifth point.
This will read on point number 5th.
Ma'am, till point number 6.
Only some villagers were allowed.
Ma'am,
Yes.
From 5th point.
ma'am, but there is Birsa Munda topic also
What
after point
written?
number 4. Ma'am, there is Birsa Munda point also topic
Yeah, that is also.
after point 6.
Birsa Munda will read next. First, read the 5th point. So I'll read.
Ma'am, from ma'am 5th point.
Yes.
Only
did you
some
read it?
villagers were only some villages were allowed to stay on in the reserve forest on the conditions that they would work free for the forest department in cutting and transporting trees, protecting the forest from fires. Subsequently, these came to be known as forest villagers. Point 6. The terrible famines of 1899 to 1900 and 1907 to 1908 forced the people to rebel. The Bastards Rebellion was one of the prominent tribal rebellions against the Britishers. The intensive was taken by the Druvas of the Kangar forest. The rebellion was led to the Gunda group from village Mahar.
Okay, that appeared only in this forest once the British occupied the forest. Only few villagers were allowed to stay on the reserved forest, and that on the condition that they would provide free labor to the Britishers, right? They would work for them free of cost, right? And subsequently, they came to be known as forest villagers. And the terrible famines of 1899 and 1900 have forced the people to rebel. Now people are like, enough has been done. Now we cannot take it anymore. That's why they started to rebel. And the Boston Rebellion was one of the most prominent tribal rebellions against the Britishers. The initiative was taken by Dhruvas of the Kangar Forest. It was a rebellion that was led to Gonda from village Nidhana. Yes. Ashmira read.
People begin to gather and discuss this issue in the village council, in bazaar, and at festival or wherever the headman and the priest of the seven villages were assembled. In 1910, mango bout, a lump of earth, chilies, and arrow being circulated between villages. These were actually a message invitation the village to rebel against the British. Every village contributed some of the rebellion's expense. Bazaar were looted, and the house of officials and trade, school, and police station were burned and robbed, and gain redistributed. Most of those who were attacked were some way associated with the colony state and its oppressive law.
Okay.
The British
Right, so people began to gather and discuss all the issues which they were facing in the village councils and bazaars and festivals, or wherever the headman was available and the priests go, right? And the priests and religious were assembled. हर जगह लोग discuss में like यार how rude these Britishers are, how they have spoiled our livelihood and everything. Right, so 1990 mango bows means आम की लकड़ी के छोटे-छोटे टुकड़े जिसे हवन के लिए यूज किए जाते हैं. So mango bows, a lump of earth means थोड़ा सा मिट्टी, a lump of earth, chilies, arrows, they all began circulating between villages and they were being circulated to inform people that we are going to rebel now. ठीक है कि अब हम rebel करने जा रहे हैं. So every village was contributed some amount or other, right, for getting the getting more ammunition or what. Then every village contributed, and then later on what happened is that the bazaars were looted, and the house of officials and traders, school, police stations, and everything whatsoever representing British rule, everything which represented British rule was broken or attacked.
Ma'am, burned and robbed.
Yeah, burned, robbed, or attacked, right? So, and whatsoever they gathered is redistributed amongst the local public. Most of those who were attacked were in some way associated with the colonial state or oppressive law. So all the colonial buildings were attacked, right? Yes, Prableen.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, shall I read? The British government was worried over these developments, so it sent troops to suppress the rebellion. It took 3 months for the British to suppress the rebellions. Many tribals were killed, More than 500 were put on trial, and many of them were hanged, and some were transported for life. Though the rebellion was crushed by the government, it had far-reaching consequences. The work on reservation was temporarily suspended, and the area to be reserved was reduced to roughly half of that was planned before 1910. The movement brought the tribal communities under a single umbrella. The movement also strengthened the national movement for complete freedom. Through this movement, the tribal people came to know how they were being exploited by the outsiders. The movement also helped in eradicating some social evils from the tribals. Ma'am, done.
Okay, fine. Right. So as he has read, he told us that people started to gather and do everything. Then the British government was worried over these developments. They were like, "Arey, what are they doing? Are they going to start another revolt?" So they sent troops to suppress the rebellion. And to suppress this rebellion, it took them 3 months, which means the rebellion was not a small one, right? It was a big rebellion. Just to suppress करने में 3 महीने लग गए. Many tribals were killed. More than 500 were put on trial, and many of them were hanged, and some were being transported for life. बट इसके कोई मतलब यस रेबेलियन बंद तो कर दिया गया बट रेबेलियन के फायदे हुए. फायदे कैसे में पहला तो जो भी रिजर्वेशन चल रहा था फॉरेस्ट का उसे टेम्पररी रोक दिया गया कि अभी नहीं किया जाएगा. राइट. All the tribal communities come under single umbrella. All of them, all the different tribal communities come together. Right then, the movement is also strengthened in the national movements for complete freedom. इस movement ने national freedom को ही बहुत support किया. Then, through this movement, the tribal people came to be known how they were being exploited by the outsiders. The movement also helped in eradicating some social evils from the tribes. So now the chapter is finally done. Kindly go through it and let me know if you have any doubts.
Ma'am, what is the meaning of trial?
Trial means पेशी कोर्ट के सामने जब लेके जाया जाता है इंसान को and then judgment is passed whether the person is convicted or not, is guilty or not.
Okay,
That
ma'am.
is known as a trial.
Ma'am, we have to read Birsa Munda.
I think that you can read it on your own.
Okay, ma'am.
Chalo. Now let's do the very short question answers first. Name any 4 tribal communities of India. Easy?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. Any 4 tribal communities.
Right. Next is the forest started disappearing after the introduction of railways. Why?
Ma'am, because in the railways, they needed sleepers and
Direct answer
each...
is given. 2-3 points are given. Page number बता दो बेटा problem what was it?
Ma'am, page number 37.
Right,
Introduction
direct
of
answer
railways.
is given. Direct answer is given. Right, next is when and why Forest Resource Institute of India was set up. When and why Forest Resource Institute of India was set up.
Ma'am, the Forest Research Institute was set up in 1906 and it was set up to promote research in the forest.
No, you're simply right. The Forest Institute of India was set up to study more about the forests of India, right? And to preserve them. And next will write the year. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Next is who was Dietrich Brandis?
Ma'am, Dietrich Brandis was a German expert who was invited to India for advice and they made him the first Inspector General of Forest.
And he also introduced scientific forestry in India.
अश्मीरा बच्चा आपकी वॉइस बहुत हल्की आ रही है.
And the
Ma'am.
Brandis who introduced scientific forestry in India.
Yeah, next question is this only. Like, ठीक है, he also introduced scientific forestry. He भी लिख सकते हैं. He was the first governor.
Inspector General of Forests.
He was the first inspector general of forest in India. Next is
Symbol of
what is shifting cultivation?
Ma'am, shifting cultivation is a type of cultivation that is practiced by tribals.
चलो ठीक है. So I think only 5 questions here. Shifting cultivation together, it's that kind of cultivation where a patch of land is cleared and then the seeds are grown in the ashes. Then after some time, the place is left fallow to regain its nutrient, and then the people look for a fresh piece of land to grow their crops. Right? So first you do these
Yes, ma'am.
5 question answers. First and foremost, you will do new words, and then these 5 question answers. Once you are done with this, then we'll discuss the rest of the file. ठीक है. As soon
Okay,
as
ma'am.
you have done, please send the pictures of the same in the group.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am,